Great. What is the conjugate acid of each of the following? And then what is the conjugate base of each? And then in this case, we have letter A. So we have to find out the conjugate acid and the conjugate base of H2S. Now, if you can find both the conjugate acid and a conjugate base from a single molecule like H2S, that means that this molecule can act as both an acid and a base. Just depends on the certain situation. If H2S is acting as an acid, you can find its conjugate base. And if it's going to act as a base, you can find out, its conjugate acid. So let's just split this down the middle, and then we'll work on one side at a time. So let's just pretend that H2S is acting as an acid in solution. What is going to be its conjugate base? And just know, guys, that the word conjugate just basically means other component. So a conjugate is always going to be what you make out of what you have. So it's always going to be part of the products. Now, remember, a base is always one less hydrogen than its acid. So all you got to do is just find out how many total hydrogen there are. And in H2S, there was 2 hydrogen. So when you're making the base, all you got to do is just drop that 1 hydrogen, right? So instead of having 2 hydrogen, you're now just going to have 1. And then all the other elements come along. It's just a sulfur. Now we just have to correct the charge. When you drop a hydrogen, you're always going to subtract 1 from the charge that you had originally. But when I look here, there was nothing in the upper right-hand corner. So that means that H2S was neutral. It was a 0 charge. So when I bring it over here, I say, okay, it was 0, but now I'm going to subtract 1. 0 minus 1 is a -1, or you could just put a negative. And that would be the conjugate base. I'm just going to put con base for short. Now, let's pretend that H2S was acting as an acid. Acting as a base. What would be the conjugate acid? Well, on the flip side, remember an acid is always 1 more hydrogen. So, if I had H2S and I wanted to find the conjugate acid, all I would have to do is just bump this number up 1. So instead of H2S, it would be H3S. Now you just have to adjust for the charge. When you're gaining a hydrogen, you add 1 to the overall charge. We said that H2S was originally a 0. So when I come over here, I say, okay, it was a 0, but since I added a hydrogen, I plus 1. 0 plus 1 is plus 1. Or I could just write a plus. And this would be the conjugate acid. And that's all. Pretty simple, guys. What do you think? Hopefully this helped. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you. And I hope to be seeing you. Well, not seeing you, but let me know in the comments. Hope to be speaking to you in next videos. Okay, bye-bye.